checking out the Sportsline Podcast here on CHCH and Parrot TV. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Hey, this is the landing spot for the 905 that puts teams, athletes, executives, and broadcasters in the forefront. We also love chatting about storylines in sports. It has the entire country talking, so let's get down to business with priority number one in the hammer.
From 45 to send the Owls to the Grey Cup. The snap comes back. Maltos Diaz puts it up. And the kick is good. No time left, and Montreal has won it. The Owls are off to Winnipeg.
The very sad voice of Ticats Audio Network broadcaster Rick Zamperin on a day that disappointed Tiger Cat fans all over the globe as Hamilton fall one victory short of reaching the Grey Cup. 209 days later, the same two squads will square off at the same site to kick off a new journey and a new season. Here to break down what we may expect from a Ticats perspective is a pair of my main man from Morning Live and the Ticats Audio Network, Rick Zamperin, and my pre- and post-game host on the network, Matt Bucknor. Thanks for joining us, guys.
What's going on?
Thanks for having us.
Hey, the obviously, right back at it, Rick. The season is here, training camp, the signings, everything. How are you feeling about this season, just on a overlook?
I think, as the saying goes, hope springs eternal, right? Mm-hmm. With every new season comes a new hope that something will be different this year compared to last year. That something being maybe more wins, maybe a shiny trophy at the end of the year. But there's a lot to do before this team can get there, right? Mm-hmm. They got to be healthy. They got to play great. They got to get some lucky bounces here and there, like any championship team does. So I'm hopeful that this Ticats team can achieve what it sets out to do. But there's so many variables throughout the year, and I know we're going to get into it this afternoon.
You know what, Matt? Look at that loss to the Eastern Final, one that, at Hamilton were favored in to win, and I thought home field had a lot to do with it. And I thought a fan base that were just, they couldn't wait for it to happen, but it didn't. And I know that the saying is, and we all talked about it in the post-game show that night, was that the next year's team, nothing's ever the same. Everything's different. Mm-hmm. But there are some elements and players that have returned. Is there anything to be learned from a loss like that going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's not only just learning, but I think there's a fire that burns within these guys too, right? They're all hyper competitive to start and to get to this level you need to be. But I think when you have a loss like that, you get so close. There's that reminder. There's something that sticks with you. And I think a lot of guys carried that through the off season, not taking reps lightly, off season days lightly, and then taking that into training camp, not taking those moments lightly too. So I think having that loss, it can build a little bit of a fire. And Hamilton's organization, I think they did a pretty good job keeping a pretty good core of guys together that can really ignite that fire within the rest of the guys that are new or coming.
It really surprised me and actually made me a little happy too. I mean, social media is a wonderful thing. Sometimes it can be a bad thing, but for a good thing on the Ticats Audio Network, our other member here, Simone Lawrence, I saw him working out with so many members of the Tiger Cats, but like in January, and you could see them in the beginning of spring. Like guys were in town, Rick, working out, and they look poised and ready to go.
I think it's a good feeling where you have that many people coming together in the facility to do what they do best in the offseason to get ready for, the regular preseason, training camp, and then the regular season. And I think it speaks to the commitment that they're all trying to pull the rope the same way, and they want to be better day in and day out. And if they can achieve that throughout the year, they're going to stack up the wins, and they're going to finish wherever they're going to finish in the standings, and then hopefully, play for that Grey Cup at the end of the year. But was this a thing back in the day, Matt? Like, did guys get together at the facility especially? Yeah,
in Hamilton, it wasn't, the years that I was here, it wasn't as strong, and I think it goes to show, it's a testament to Coach Marcellus Bowman, his leadership and the strength and conditioning side of things, and there's been a really strong buy-in in the off-season program, in the training that they're doing, and you talk to a lot of the players, they all rave so highly of Coach Bowman and what he's done and what he's brought to this organization the handful of years that he's been here, and to have that buy-in, like you talked about, the commitment, to have that buy-in in the off-season, I think that helps catapult a strong in-season, a strong training camp, and then hopefully they can make a deep run this year and go, like you said, let's get that shiny Grey Cup.
And I think for years the guys have gotten together in the offseason to work out, the indoor football fields that we have in town. But I think for this many guys to come together, that's something special.
Yeah, I was really impressed with that. And I was like, boy, these guys are ready to go. And, you're always thinking, okay, let the body kind of cool down a little bit. But these guys are ready and hitting the bags and hitting the weights and, getting into the training. I thought was really, really impressive. Hey, going into free agency, I think one of the things that, a lot of people were, I think, afraid of is that, that 2025 team might have had just one shot at it, and then are they going to rebuild? Are they going to retool? How's this all going to go? Well over 20 free agents, and guys, some guys have gone, and some guys have stayed, were able to be re-signed, and some guys are still under contract. I'll let you guys, for each one of you guys, a player that you thought, that got brought in that you're really excited to see play.
For me, I think the biggest addition, and it remains to be seen how much this player is going to play, but I think from a defensive standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, from a championship pedigree standpoint, Witten McManus, I thought, was the biggest check mark in the offseason. Like, A, there's a need at middle linebacker with Devin Verasuk going to the NFL and trying his hand with the Indianapolis Colts. B, a guy who's been there, done that, has a trophy, knows what it takes to win in the most crucial times, and a guy who's a vocal leader even coming into a new team. He was playing in Toronto for many years, won a couple championships now with their arch rivals, and has just brought his kind of swagger and his mentality over to this team. So I thought that was a home run for this Ticats front office to add a guy like that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Winton is a huge addition to this team, and just his resume, his pedigree speaks for itself. A guy that I want to touch on is, and this is more the backup side of things, but the backup quarterback in Trey Ford. I think he's like a dynamic player, and he's shown himself to be. We talk about his speed and his athleticism, but he also has an ability to create highlight plays, and we saw a little sneak peek of that in that second preseason game with him scrambling, going sideline to sideline to throw an absolute dart in the end zone to Newton in that second preseason game. So I think he's going to be a player that is going to be exciting to look at. Of course, it's yet to be seen where he's going to fall on that depth chart, but it'd be interesting to see. I think with a player like that, you almost have to have some type of a package in for him, right?
With a coach that doesn't really like this.
Right.
He's not a package guy.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel it's like with a player like that, with the way you can run the RPO and all that, it's how do you not go and
you're almost forced to go that way.
Yeah, and throw him in there in some type of package. But again, I'm not an offensive coordinator. They don't pay me to do those things, so I don't make those decisions. Yeah. But again, I think he's just going to be another dynamic addition to this Ticats unit.
Is it an upgrade over Taylor Powell, or is it, to be seen?
Well, I think it's to be seen, but what I like is that you have Bo Levi, who's a gunslinger. You have Trey Ford, who's like the complete opposite, a guy who's going to pick his spots when throwing the ball, but is so athletic that you're going to utilize his legs. And Jake Dolegala is somewhat in between, although more of a pocket passer than anything else, but a guy in short yardage situations is going to get you a first down. So you have three very distinct quarterbacks on this roster that I kind of like that.
All right, guys, the player that left town that you thought,
oh man!
If you know what I'm talking about, folks.
There's a couple that you say I didn't like seeing them go. I'll say one is Amos. Yeah. Amos was a big loss at that field half position. He was so solid at the way, and there's a lot of things that he does that doesn't always show up on the stat line. Where he's not getting beat. He's in coverage. He's in his spots, and a guy that also is a pretty good sure tackler to be. On the field side, you're working with so much space, and we didn't really see him making a lot of mistakes, and that's a position. They talk about like the boundary side. The boundary side, of course, is a tough position too. That boundary halfback position, but I think Amos was a big loss, of course, and he's a veteran as well. You have veterans in the secondary. They know how to communicate. They know how to lead. They're resilient. Whether they're not going to get too high or too low off of early fast start in the first half or a slow start in the first half, and then they'll be able to kind of pick things up. But I think, yeah, he's a loss. And then again, the team that we went back to, right? And again, it's a business. Yeah. You understand, like, this is kind of how things go. Sometimes, we look at so many players. The unfortunate part is they don't stay in the same jersey their entire careers. They kind of bounce around. I know I was a bit of a journeyman when I played, and there's so many handful of other players that can say the same thing. So, we don't wish him too much luck on the games that we we go up against him. But again, yeah, I think he's one of the guys that it was tough to see him go.
And the fact that he had great chemistry with Peters as well, too. Right? I mean, that was a tough loss, I thought, as well, too. Your thoughts?
For me, I don't know if it's a big loss at the end of the day when, at the end of this season, we're going to look at this position group and say, I think we were fine because we have Kenny Lawler and Keandre Smith and Curly Gittins Jr. and Shamar Bridges and Carrick Weefalt, like an embarrassment of riches at the receiver position. But still, when you lose a guy like Tim White, I know he had some issues with the dropsies, but, 1,000-yard receiver every year. He caught 5, 6, 7 touchdowns every year. A guy that you could count upon, good in the locker room, like a good team guy. So when you lose someone like that, I know he's on the wrong side of 30, but still, Kenny Lawler's on the wrong side of 30. He's still getting it done. I think Tim White is going to be fine in Winnipeg, but to lose a guy that produces like that, I think it's a bit of a stinging kind of moment. But I think they've backfilled nicely, especially with Carrick Weefalt and bringing in Curly Gittins. So from a production standpoint, I don't think they lose a lot by losing Tim White, but still the fact that they lose a guy that is productive, I think, for me, just being a Ticats fan, I liked him in black and gold, and I wish him well, but I think it's going to be a loss.
It's funny because I think of Tiger Cats in the last couple of years that I talked to regular hardcore Ticat fans. Tim White may be the most polarizing guy to discuss because of what you said, some of those incredible pluses. Then there might be the odd minus every once in a while, but the drop passes and maybe lack of concentration sometimes gets a little, loses his mind a little bit. We've seen some signs of that in the past. It's interesting.
But that also speaks, I think, to, because he's so productive, it speaks to his expectation that he's going to catch everything. And some of the makeable, quote-unquote, catches that you think he should make, and sometimes he doesn't, I think they just blow up in terms of, wow, why didn't he make that catch? But he made so many others. So sometimes you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, because his standard is so high. His production is so high. He's been a 1,000-yard receiver
like for 4 years in a row.
4 or 5 years straight. And so, you have that type of production. There's going to be an expectation. You got to meet that. And I was a big Tim White fan myself. And you never want to see a player like that, have those like little mini slumps. But again, outside of that, he's considered, one of the top receivers in the league.
And if anyone's watching this thinking, Tim White, like why is he on this list? There are 2 receivers in Ticats history with 4 consecutive 1,000-yard reception yards. Tim White, Darren Flutie.
Wow.
That's pretty exclusive cover.
Well, I was going to say Earl Winfield. Wow.
No, he didn't do it either.
Wow, what a shocker. You know what? The benefit, though, of it is it opens the door for others. And Shamar Bridges, for me, it gives him an opportunity to get rid of that wide side, get him out of there, with all due respect to Weefalt, who looks like it's going to play that position. But I think seeing Shamar get a little closer to the ball will be a plus.
Absolutely. I got to check him out in training camp at the handful of practices that I went to, and he's a great route runner and great size, and so he's going to be creating some mismatch opportunities. And how do you not talk about his speed, right? So I think having a guy like Shamar coming out there, like you said, moving from the Z, moving him inside, it's going to be really exciting. And I know Scott Milanovich he's rubbing his hands together like, okay, we got some ballers. And you mentioned the embarrassment of riches. Like you got Lawler, you got Keandre, you have Bridges, now you got Weefalt. Like there's so many, and then they use Giovanni Robinson, and like there's so many great.
Tyler gets in there every once in a while. Always comes in with that big catch.
So their receiving core is so deep, and Shamar is going to be one. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to really emerge. I think Ticat fans should really keep an eye on Shamar too.
The first thing I thought of when they moved Shamar inside at training camp, the first person that came to mind, and they're a little bit of a different body type, although have the same kind of skill set, is Andy Fantus. The guy who's inside, makes every catch, gets the first down. He can use his wheels from time to time. Like I'm excited about this transition.
Let's not pump him up too much.
Oh, come on, no,
he's a ref now. You know what I mean? He's a ref now.
Shout out Twos.
He's an okay player.
I love Twos. I love him.
My comparison actually is Eric Rogers.
Okay, yeah.
Who played with Bo,
Yep.
and Bo,
Calgary,
in Calgary. And so there's some guys that, like Bo, he likes his taller receivers, and I think Eric Rogers was one of the guys that came to mind when comparing Shamar and
there was a big, oh no, now what are we going to do when Greg Bell goes to what? Ottawa?
Yeah.
Is this a can't wait and see what Roundtree can do? Very impressive in training camp. Outstanding in the first pregame against the Argonauts here at Hamilton Stadium. What do you think?
I'm in wait and see mode. Okay. Right? Like one half does not make a player.
Right.
Sure.
I know he played in the NFL, right? He had a cup of coffee with the Chargers, but still, like a guy who's got the qualities, right? We saw him with speed. He can run in traffic. He can bounce it outside. He seems to be a good blocker in the backfield, which is a priority for this coaching staff in terms of protecting Bo Levi Mitchell, which is priority one for the running back position. But yeah, if you can get 50 to 100 yards per game with this guy with a couple of catches, maybe over 110 combined yards, yeah, this would be a perfect fit, but we got to see it now.
Yeah, Roundtree, I thought, showed that body type, showed that burst of speed. Obviously, the touchdown is what everyone's looking at. But Greg Bell was a guy that I thought he just kind of warmed up to me as he became longer. And like they gave him, losing Butler at the time, we were like, oh my goodness, how could we lose Butler? Yeah. But you saw why Scott Milanovich liked this guy, and his ability to. You're right. You got to be able to block, but he can get the ball downfield as well too. So I would think Roundtree has to mirror that at the very least.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some big shoes to fill at that running back position. And Greg Bell, his production improved throughout the entire season last year. And I think we're going to probably see the same thing with Roundtree. For Roundtree, he's getting in. This is his first year underneath this Scott Milanovich offense. I'm sure he's been, having some sleepless nights during training camp trying to absorb this entire playbook. But I think he's going to be one guy. He might have that slower start, but then pick things up, or maybe he comes out the gate smoking. Who knows? Who knows what we're going to get from these guys? But again, it's going to be exciting to see what he does because of the intangibles that he possesses.
Yeah. Here's a guy too who came out of the NFL. He was like 235, and now he's 211, and he feels faster and he feels fresher. So I think that bodes well for him, especially out of the gate, because he's a new man, right? With 20 less pounds, he's gonna, I think, show something.
I was really impressed, and when you break down the story and you hear about his story and why he came here, and the fact that he actually communicated with people that he knew within the CFL community that he either played against or played with in university or college ball in the States, and said, what do I got to do? How do I fit into this game? Losing 20, 30 pounds is a big deal of dropping that of muscle. And you would know all about in terms of body training and getting yourself into more of a speed guy than more of a tough, aggressive guy. That's got to be a strong commitment.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show his commitment to being a pro. Because you understand, you're going into the NFL, that's a different body type, different game, different speed, all of that, and then you come to the CFL, completely, the running back positions are different. They're especially with Milanovich, where you guys talked about where he's got to be pass protecting, he's got to understand the game. So before you even get here, doing that homework and finding out what are the things that I need to do to prepare, I think that he's already showing that he wants to be a pro and that he's taking this seriously. I think that's something that other coaches, and whether it's the head coach, positional coaches, that they're looking to evaluate too. Right? It's like, how are you taking this as a professional going into this, this new job?
Bo Levi Mitchell, I know we kind of touched on the quarterbacks, but I want to go right into Bo's kitchen here. He's not any younger, right? But he just came off a year where he threw for 5,300 yards, 36 touchdown passes, and was only intercepted 11 times. He also goes back-to-back years at his, quote, advanced age, right? Playing the full season. Right? Something Zach Caleros didn't do, something Trevor Harris didn't do either. Guys in that sort of upper echelon age of quarterbacks. How much longer can he perform at a high level?
I think for as long as he wants, to be honest. I mean, he is the only quarterback last year to start every game. And we're talking, you mentioned some of the names. Nathan Work's on that list too. Cody Fajardo didn't start the season. It was Trey Ford in Edmonton. I mean, Bo not only has shown that he is a physical specimen in his mid-30s, that he is still at the top of his game. Like his 36 touchdowns were a career high last year, and only 11 interceptions.
You just got fined.
Is he calling me now?
You just got fined.
I think Bo was saying, keep pumping my tires, Rick. And this is a guy, like, fine wine. Like, literally, he's getting better. And it's hard to think because he was really good in his first few seasons, 2-time MOP, 2-time Grey Cup MOP. Like, the guy's been there, done that. And now he, I think, has found a renaissance to his game where he has connected with all of his receivers. If the run game's going great, that just elevates his effectiveness on the field. If the offensive line is playing well, he's going to be that much better. So I think he can go again for as long as he wants. I know he's mentioned if he wins or when he wins another title, that might be a swan song. And if it's not this year, next year, I can see him playing for 3 more years. Like the Calvillos of the world, Trevor Harris is 38, 39, 40. Like these guys have been playing at advanced age in comparison to a lot of the younger guys in the league. So I think the sky's the limit.
Why? Why? Why is he? I mean, I don't know if he's better. He says he's better, but because the level of play in Calgary for a decade was unbelievable. Why is he at least equal to what Bo was 10 years ago?
You see what Bo does when he throws a touchdown. He's always pointing to the ice in his vein. He's a competitor. And I think to get to this level and to sustain this amount of that type of consistency and that production for that long as he has, it's again a testament to his competitiveness. And you got to play this game with a bit of a chip on your shoulder, and then you got to keep that chip on your shoulder. And I know sometimes players will say things like, "Oh, we don't listen to what the media says, or we don't listen to the articles in the paper."
Baloney.
They listen. They hear those things, or the little rumblings. You're getting a little older. You get like those things. And some athletes, again, everybody's different, but I think he's an athlete that will he kind of takes that and like I'm gonna show you. That's why you see him do things like this. He's like, I'm letting you guys know what I can do. And so I love that energy that he has, that fire, his competitiveness, and he's been a guy that's done it since 2012, right? And we're in 2016 or 2026. For him to be doing it that long is outstanding, unbelievable. And I'm with you, Rick. 2-3 more, he's on the LeBron James plan.
Absolutely. Matt, the locker room is such an interesting place. It's such a sacred place. A place where bonding happens, and you just brought up a name that made me think here about the quarterback position and the leadership aspect. And you brought up the name Casey Printers when we were not on camera a little bit, and he was a guy that came in and was expected to be sort of a savior guy, no different than Bo. And he came in there and he failed. He could not get the respect, at least from people I talked to. There was divisions in the division in the locker room, and the team wasn't good. I have to throw that in too. But he couldn't get the respect of his teammates. I see these videos that are getting posted, and guys are dancing and rapping, and Bo's right in the middle of it. Like, how hard is it to gain the respect of your teammates and maintain that?
Yeah, I think one is you guys just got to be yourself. I think and everybody can see that, and they can see through that when you're trying to be something that you're not. And Bo is a guy that he just shows up as himself, and guys respect that. I think I don't know what KC was like in those locker rooms. I have no idea, but I can talk about Bo and when we were teammates in Calgary in 2016, and he's himself. And when you're producing, that also helps as well. But I think, he's a guy, he's not trying to be anything he's not. He shows up as himself. Guys are going to respect that. He's genuine. He's going to make genuine connections with his teammates. Guys like that, and guys respond to that. And I think that's what it takes. So it's the production, but then it's also, how are you maintaining conversations? And it's not just, I'm only going to be talking with the starters. Like I'm watching Bo at training camp, and plays are done. He's on the sideline. He's communicating with everybody. There's guys, he's bringing the whole unit together, the offensive unit, and he's talking to the guys and letting them know, hey, this is what I'm seeing, or these are the adjustments that we need to make. And so I think just being able to command that room command the group on field, but then also do it off the field. I think that's something that guys, definitely look for.
It reminds me a little bit, and maybe just a smidge, of like the aura that Bo has of like a Kirk Cousins, where he's just a galvanizing guy, and he seems to be so unassuming.
I like that.
Yeah, but, I mean, he can just rally the troops, right? I mean, he Bo in the CFL is a much better player than Kirk Cousins is in the NFL.
Yes.
But he's a guy that just seems to not only elevate his game, but get others to elevate their game. And it's kind of, there's a symbiotic nature to that. But he's a guy who, he's competitive as all heck. He wants to win. He wants others to win. And I think that's contagious.
Is it fair to say, is it fair to say that he also, and this is something that we weren't too sure about 2 or 3 years ago, he's got the respect of his head coach?
Oh, 100%. I think that kind of waned maybe in year number 1 because there was injury issues. Bo was turning the football over, especially going into year 2 when Taylor Powell kind of replaced him in the summer. There was too many turnovers, and Milanovic did not like that. So that's why he made the change. And then Powell, unfortunately for him, got hurt in that game. Bo came back, and he's been the best quarterback on the planet in the 3-down game since that moment. And it's a credit to him. And I think he took it personally to say, all right, you want to bench me? I'm going to show you. Right. And Scott and Bo have worked magically together ever since that. So, whether it's the Boveralls or him, just throwing a bunch of touchdowns, like the guy's got it.
Yeah. Can you believe, and I know Scott Milanovic wasn't the head coach at the time, but that Bo didn't start a playoff game for the Tiger Cats? Can you imagine?
I'm still dumbfounded by that.
And they, with all due respect to recently retired Matt Schultz, one of the finer guys that you'll ever speak to, but this is shocking when you really think about it.
All through that game, I was expecting that Schultz was going to be, just that change of pace at the start of the game, and Bo would come in the second series or third series or fourth series or maybe at halftime or maybe in the third quarter. And like, what? 2 minutes left or whatever it was. Yeah. That I still find very surprising. A future Hall of Fame quarterback not on the field in the most crucial game of the year.
Yeah, that was shocking. Let's flip sides, guys, and go to the defense here. And I think what people don't always realize is that for the defensive backs, for the linebackers to have any success, it starts with the 4 or 3 guys or 5 guys up front. And you lose Casey Sales. But we see the emergence of some young blood, and through training camp, there were some people that stepped up. Are you liking what you see on the D-line?
That D-line is ferocious, for one. You got Fox, you got Osai, you got Hauser, you have Kendricks. Kendricks changed his number, by the way. He's wearing 22. He's wearing 22 on the D-line. I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh.
I like it. I'm here for it.
Can you do that?
Yeah,
of course. You got. I'm here for it. Give him a single digit next year. But I like it because it's just it's a little bit of swag. It's showing a little bit of confidence, and then even that D-line though across the board with the I looked at Osai for one. His trajectory went like this from the beginning to the end of the season. As he started getting more and more reps, you could see he's playing with confidence, and then it helps to have a guy like Julian Hauser on the end, who's. Okay, this guy he was Defensive Player of the Year for the Hamilton, and so now you have these two guys feeding off of each other. I think that D-line is going to be one that's going to be really exciting this year. I hate to say this, but Casey Sales is a great player, but the reason I think they were able to let him go is because they felt like they were pretty deep in that position, and that goes to show how much talent is really on that line.
You know what? I love the D-line, especially the way. It took them a few games to get going last year, but once they did, it was like, wow, these guys are special. Like they're getting to the quarterback, they're stopping the run, they're doing all the little things right that they're needing to do. The secondaries helped out because everyone seemed to have like 5 or 6 interceptions last year, and that's because the pressure was getting to the quarterback, and the quarterback had whether it's changing his launch angle or throwing before he wanted to throw, whatever the case was, like that front 4 I think set the tone in a lot of the games. We certainly saw it in the game at BMO Field in Toronto when they had like a dozen sacks or whatever it was. It felt like it. Like everyone was going to be a quarterback.
You got a sack. I mean,
Oprah was in there.
It was actually a battle between Hauser and Osai. They were going off. Forced fumbles, knockdowns, sacks, hits. Like, it was crazy what they were doing on that day.
Right?
That was a memorable game. And it was great being on the road, too, for all of us. Hey, okay, special teams here. There's some real interesting elements. It's guys that have come back that I think are going to do an outstanding job. But I got to start with the guy that came back from the National Football League, and that's Isaiah Wooden, the senior. Like, I mean, with all due respect to everyone that contributed last year after he left, it just wasn't the same. So to have him back, game breaker, Rick.
Yeah.
You're going to say touchdown some point on a kick or
I hope so.
a return.
Multiple times. Let's do it. I think there was too many times last year where there wasn't that momentum change that Wooden provided in the past. There wasn't that big play or return for a touchdown. I think he had 3 when he was last in the league. There was kind of like meh performances in terms of field position, momentum, that energy that a big return will provide you. And he comes back in, and I think he's going to give us that and more, because I think you talk about trajectory, he's only going to get better, right? Because now I think he understands the league a lot more. He's in, I still call it the best free agent acquisition in the offseason the Ticats made, and that's Bob Dice, a special teams coordinator. I think, going to unlock
good point.
what we haven't seen from Wooden that we've already seen a lot. I think he's going to make him that much better, and this coverage unit's going to be that much better. I think special teams, aside from the punter, which is a big question mark on who's going to be the guy, whether it's McCarthy or Haber. McCarthy's going to start, the first game because he's on the active roster. But I like the addition of Wooden, or the reinsertion of Wooden, because he is so electric.
I think he's a guy that somewhere halfway down the line, we could see him on offense.
Ooh.
Brandon Banks 2.0.
Yup, and why not? You have all of this talent. Is find a way to get him on the field, and Milanovich, he does a great job of that, just kind of changing things up in terms of the packaging. We talked about Giovanni Robinson getting in there, and then he switches up getting those tight end sets. So and they did do that a handful of times last year with Wooden, and you kind of see him on some of those speed sweeps and all that. So it's gonna be interesting. I would definitely throw him in a package or two if possible. But again, let's also keep this guy fresh for his return. For his return.
Get him the ball in the open field.
Yeah, get him in the open field.
Well, remember when he broke his arm? I mean, the production. And then that was the 2024 season. It just went
plummeted.
Tim White, they had to resort to Tim White returning punts and stuff like that. It just wasn't the same without him. Our field goal kicker, I don't care. Look, Liram Haralahu, St. Catherine's guy, love him. Amazing career, kicked in the NFL, Cowboys. He's done it all. Yeah. But I mean, when you're coming off a year where you're 92%. Rick, that's outstanding in the Canadian Football League, and not only in terms of the kicking accuracy, kicking in Hamilton in that weather and wind everywhere else around the league. This guy's solid. I remember when Winnipeg gave him up, they were willing. They were like, see you later. Yeah. And it's been nothing but a gift for the Ticats in his time here.
Yeah, that 90, I think it's 92.9% or whatever, something like that last year. That's an all-time Ticats record. Yeah. And you think of all the great kickers that have been in Hamilton, from Spaldiston to Ruoff to, the list goes on and on. Like, for him to do what he did last year, he had a long of 55 yards, which was in Winnipeg, which I think was the only scoring of the game for Hamilton that game. But still, and I remember, first day of training camp, Scott Milanovich, I don't have any issues at the kicking game in terms of Mark Leggio. The guy's got it. He's the best kicker in the league. And I think sending him out there, when you're on offense and it's second and long, and you're kind of around midfield, I think you can be more aggressive because we got 3 points in the bag. This guy's going to hit, from downtown, and we're going to be good. So I think they can be a little more, creative or aggressive on offense to go for that first down or maybe make a big play because he's that effective. So I have no issues with Mark Leggio kicking the football at all.
In your Winnipeg days, where you spent most of your time in Winnipeg, right?
Yeah, overall, years,
I mean, who was it? Who did you have kicking at the time?
Troy Westwood?
No, who was our kicker? Liram.
That's right. Yeah,
Liram was our kicker out there. Okay. And he's been a consistent kicker his entire career. When you talk about the comparison between the two, between Legs and Liram, Legs, the accuracy itself is that sets him apart as the best field goal kicker in the league right now. And then you heard Scott talk about it during the season. There's times where he sends legs out and he's not even paying attention because that's how automatic legs has been. And so I think having a kicker like that where he can set up anywhere, and you're kicking in Hamilton too, where you know that in the wind swirling in that stadium, it gets pretty challenging. We've seen him on the road, we've seen him at home. He's been consistent. So it's so important to have a good field goal kicker or have that production on the special teams unit, because we've seen it happen so many times where teams have been able to set themselves apart in a game, but then also there's been times where you can lose games on these field goals.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's where I'm going with this right now, right?
Okay.
As a player, look, let's be honest here. We talk about it as broadcasters, and it's only because we kind of see it a little bit. Like, there seems to be this love affair, hate affair with the rest of the team and the kicker. Is this true? Is there a love-hate relationship with your kicker?
No. I think it's an old school more mentality. I think now people understand the value of the kicker. And you see the practice, like at training camp practice, they have legs get out there and everybody's surrounding him and they're playfully distracting him. But it's something to get him locked in and to see what he can do under those higher pressure situations. But no, I think everybody understands the value of every position on the football field, and so nobody is above the next. Like you need a Gordon White to snap to make sure the timings are proper for legs to get the field goal. But you need all positions is the point I'm trying to make here, and I think Legs is a guy that's so valuable. He's proven that the last handful of seasons, and I don't see him doing anything else but that to continue that. So I think that's like more the old school mentality.
I think too it's the one position in football that I think is closest to quarterback, because everything is riding on what you do next. Right? Like the quarterback has the football in his hands all the time, most important position on the field. With a kicker, like when you're kicking, like all eyes are on you. This moment counts, especially if it's a game winning or game tying field goal. Like the pressure is on and you have to be mentally fit, which Legs is, and you have to just be confident that you're going to make the kick. And when you don't, because sometimes you miss, like you got to be able to handle that. And I think he's done an outstanding job. He hasn't missed much, but he's done an outstanding job of just saying, hey, I'm just going to hit the next one.
That's the craziest thing, like the way a lot of these field goal kickers are able to miss. And you see some fellas that if they miss, like they just can't get out of their heads. But the good ones are able to just wipe the slate clean. And like you said, every single time you're going in, it's a pressure situation because you want that offensive drive to be rewarded with something. Ultimately, you're looking for a touchdown, but if you can get something out of it, right? If it's like, you just drove the ball for 9 minutes, moved the ball for 75 yards, and we came up with nothing, right?
And how deflating is that?
It's deflating, isn't it?
No, it's a heartbreaker, and of course, we all want points. You want points every single possession. Defense wants to get points, right? But it can be tough to not have those points when you get down into the win zone. We call it the win zone because you're getting close to win. But like a guy like Legs, I always think about like the mental toughness that's required for that position alone, where all eyes are on you. When you miss, people are asking, why did you miss? And there's very little excuses. People aren't really giving excuses sometimes for the kickers. And so mental toughness I think is one of the biggest keys.
The other thing too is when a kicker misses a clutch kick or misses multiple, then it's on the coach. Like, coach, what do you do? Like, are you considering a change? Like, and then the whole team is kind of involved in this, what happens now type of thing. So it's such a huge domino effect.
One of the biggest complaints that I heard last year, and actually 2 years with this team, and is there a way to get over the hump, guys? There's a mentality for a lot of people, even not Tiger Town fans, people I've talked to around the league, they're like, the Tiger Cats can beat the bad teams, but they can't beat the good teams. And there was some signs of that last year. Like, couldn't win against Saskatchewan, who were the defending Grey Cup champions. Do you see it that way?
No, I think every game is different, and good teams, bad teams, it's not necessarily based on their record. You can have a team that is, 10-3, but 5 of those wins have been by the skin of their teeth, and maybe they shouldn't have won those games. So I throw the records out of the equation. Like, guys are getting paid to produce. They want to win, and if they don't, their jobs could be on the line. So I think historically, the best team usually wins on the day, and sometimes you luck out, sometimes you don't. I don't really subscribe into the Ticats can only beat bad teams because it wasn't that long ago they were 15-3. So they must have beaten some pretty good teams on that day. Last year they were above 500. The year before that, above 500. So they can only play the teams that are on their schedule. And when they're on a hot streak, if it just happens to be bad teams in that streak, they're still winning the games. I don't care who they beat as long as they have more wins than losses, and come playoff time, they're peaking at the right time. So yeah, that's my feeling on it.
Is there any stock to that, Buck?
Yeah, I think there's so much parity in the CFL that people will overlook. Even it seemed like, Ottawa wasn't the best team in the league. That goes without saying, but they were still competing against a lot of teams in the league. And this year, I don't expect to see anything different. I think there's always going to be that parity. Every single week is a tough matchup. There's no guarantees. I've never heard any team go into a game. Now it's important to have that confidence that, hey, we're going in, we can compete against any team in the league. But I think there's no guarantees, and so you have to take each game seriously. That's why the coaches and the players, they prepare the way they do when you're going out into these games. They're watching the film, they're studying the playbooks, they're going relentlessly through practice, of course the travel off the field stuff that they do, like all of that to get ready for these games. That preparation is so important, so vital. So I think that parity in the league is something that I think fans sometimes overlook.
11 wins, 7 losses last year. They win the East Division. They get the bye week. They lose in the East Final, guys. Can we project? Is it fair? And I don't. And I promise not to bring this back up to all you guys in November. But is there a record in your head that you see this team, Rick, getting to, or something that you would think you would be happy with? Hey, correct me. Is this the first year of the new playoff system?
No, that's next year.
That's next year.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the last.
Just win 6 and you're going to get it.
Yeah. Another story.
That's a different podcast.
That's true. That's for sure. We'll get there too on that one. I'll hold you back on that.
But record-wise,
is there anything?
If you get to 10 wins, you're in the playoffs. Yeah. Especially in the East, where traditionally 10, 11, 12 especially, you're in, probably finishing first. So, if they finish 11-7, I'll certainly be happy because they're in the mix for first, probably second place, either or. If you get to 12, now you're in kind of special kind of territory, right? Like 12 out of 18, so you've won 12, you've lost 6. That's a pretty good number that I'd love to see. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know.
Is there a team in the East? Is it going to be the same old? Well, not the same old. Is it Hamilton and Montreal? Like, does Ottawa make a move? Like, back-to-back years that they've gotten out and stolen Tiger Cats, and they went heavy in free agency. And last year was a disaster. But this year, now they went out and Drew Brown lost his quarterback job to Jake Mayer. I'm shocked with that. I'm completely shocked. And they announced it before the last preseason game, right? So they know what they're doing. The Argonauts, we've seen them now twice. New head coach, new philosophy. But with Ottawa, Dinwiddie is a proven winner and a guy that's won Grey Cups. And Montreal, not a lot of changes. Bad preseason, but we kind of know what to expect, especially out of that Noel Thorpe defense.
Yeah, I think Montreal, those teams that you just mentioned are all in the running. The season hasn't started yet. It's tough to see what type of team we're going to see from Toronto, what type of team we're going to see from Ottawa. But with Dinwiddie, the man's a winner. He's won consistently in this league from his time in Calgary. Of course, even as a player, he's had success too. And I don't see him not bringing that type of spirit to that organization. Montreal's team, like you mentioned, that Alexander's he's back full season. We'll see what that looks.
Didn't he get hurt already?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that case, but yeah.
I think week 1.
Week 1.
Yeah, you got. They had to
I think
take
he's
him
okay
off.
to play, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I was under that impression.
But
too,
you
that
know
he's gonna
those
play.
hamstrings.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's tough. Yeah, no, he had his career so far, he hasn't played a full season yet, and so that's yet to be seen. But yeah, I think just to answer your question, Bubba, about where the teams, where do you see Hamilton finishing? Finish first. Whatever the record takes to get first place is the record that you need. Whatever it is, sometimes some years it's been 8 wins to get you first place. So whatever gets you first place in the East, so you can get that first round bye, and then of course improve your odds. Now you only have 1 win to get to the Grey Cup.
I hate power rankings, but I'll give you a power ranking for the East.
Okay, yeah.
I despise power rankings, but listen, Ottawa, we don't quite know what the Ryan Dinwiddie Red Blacks are going to look like.
Yeah.
And I think whenever a new coach comes in, I think there's an adjustment period. Like we saw with Scott Milanovich in Hamilton, like we see with many other teams.
Yeah.
Same goes, I think, for Toronto, right? Like Mark Miller's coming in, it's like, okay, what is this team going to look like? How is he going to, make those crucial decisions when the chips are down?
Do you have this quarterback back?
Yeah, there's no question.
Yeah.
Then there is Montreal, where a phenomenal organization, but if their QB1 isn't playing 15, 16, 18 games, like, are they going to be as good as what they would be if he did play every game?
Yeah.
So those 3, especially Ottawa, Toronto, are big question marks. Montreal, a bit of a question mark because of the quarterback situation. If he's not healthy, I don't think they're as good. No. For Hamilton, they seem to be, knock on wood, the most kind of stable in terms of personnel, coaching, philosophy, star power. Like they haven't changed too much. So I see that from a stability standpoint, I like that as a plus. And so I think if my power rankings are going Hamilton, Montreal, and then Toronto, Ottawa, who knows?
Right.
But again, I'm not a big fan of power rankings.
Yeah.
But I will get you on this. We'll end on this, guys. Your top team that that you're interested in the West. We'll start with you.
I think BC has a lot of intrigue.
Rourke.
Yeah, with Nathan. He had obviously the MOP season, questionable MOP season. Yeah, sorry guys. But yeah, I think BC to me is one of the more intriguing teams. Yeah, with Rourke, and then of course they've had they've brought in their defensive pieces that they have. Another old teammate of mine out there, TJ Lee, is out there in the secondary, and he's going into his 12th season. So they have some pretty good pieces out there. James Butler still there. So yeah, I think that's the West, the team in the West. I think to keep an eye on.
Rick.
There's a lot of good teams in the West.
Yeah, the West is pretty competitive.
And we don't know which team's going to show up, which team's going to sink. I was going to say Winnipeg, just because they were so good for so long, and they've kind of started to go down, and they might go down a little bit more. It remains to be seen. But I'm going to say Saskatchewan, the defending champs. They're going to have the bullseyes on their back for the first time since 2013. Like, how are they going to handle that? Can Trevor Harris be the Trevor Harris like he's been the past few seasons? Is he going to
stay healthy?
Is he going to be healthy? Yeah. So. Are things going to align like they did last year, or are they going to take a step back? And if so, which team does take a step up? Like, is this the year Edmonton finally says, all right, we're fighting for a playoff spot? Who knows? Like, I really like the pieces that BC has on their team. The West is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, they will definitely be fun to watch. And I'm going to say this about Edmonton: it will be, it won't even be half season before there's a quarterback change there.
Hot take.
See ya,
Wow.
Fajardo.
Grab that mic and lose it.
Hello, Taylor Powell. I think this is a better opportunity for him. As much as I think him and Bo were a real nice 1-2 and they got along well, I think this is a better opportunity for him. There were a lot of people out there that are saying that if there were 10, 11 teams in the league, he'd be a starting quarterback somewhere. I think we recognize that he's got a certain amount of talent. I like Winnipeg, and here's why: the reuniting of the quarterback and Tommy Condell, right? Who's had some kind of off years elsewhere, but when Zach Collaros was here in Hamilton, we don't gotta look too far back. I mean, that would have been Zach's first MOP year before he blew out his knee. Right? Like, they were humming, and if they can find that old magic again, we may see that vintage Zach Collaros, who's been throwing too many interceptions lately in the last couple of years. But yeah, I'm still kind of curious about what's going to happen in Winnipeg.
Should be a lot of fun.
Should be a lot of fun. And hey, guys, Thursday, home opener, game number 1, week 1, the long journey to November. Oh, my goodness. It's all underway. 18-game regular season, of course. Proud to say that we'll all be on the broadcast there, folks. Tiger Town, you know what? Turn down the volume, turn up the Ticats Audio Network course coverage on CHCH all week as we get ready for the home opener. Guys, I really appreciate your time. It's great that the season's back. It was, as I said, what was it, 200 and something days?
209, I think.
Yeah, 209 days.
Way too many.
It really sucked.
We should play a 30-game season. Let's go.
The players will need that.
He's double.
Hey, new TV contract. They're going to be getting paid.
More money.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Appreciate it. Hey, that's your Sportsline Podcast for the day. And if you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports. We love the Canadian Football League. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote the Sportsline Podcast, we want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button if you have something to say. Hey, always love hearing your comments. For the outstanding people behind the scenes that make this Sportsline Podcast roll, thank you so very much. And we'll see you real soon.